There are quiet moments when everything looks fine from the outside. When I walk into a room, smile, laugh, and talk like everyone else. When I nod along, joke around, and keep the rhythm of daily life moving. And yet, in the spaces between my words, in the pauses where I swallow my pain, there's a different story. A story that I've kept hidden for far too long. I convinced myself, for years, that silence was strength. That if I just held everything inside, no one would have to worry. No one would judge me. No one would see me as anything less than whole. So I wore the mask. I played the part. I became a master at pretending. Every day I woke up and carried a weight that no one else could see. Some days it felt light enough to bear, just a soft pressure in my chest that I could manage. But other days it was unbearable, like I was trapped in a room with no windows, no doors, just me and the thoughts in my head, circling endlessly, whispering fears I never voiced. I acted like I was fine because I was scared. Scared that if I let anyone in, if I allowed them to see the cracks, they'd look at me differently. Like I was weak. Like I was broken. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to be treated like someone who needed fixing. So I stayed quiet, even when I wanted to scream. Even when the silence was louder than any words could be. And the truth is, I wasn't just afraid of being ignored. I was more afraid of being understood. Because if someone truly saw the battles I was fighting inside, they might realize that I wasn't as strong as they believed. They might understand that I was barely holding it together. And that terrified me. So I kept smiling. I kept saying I was fine, even when I wasn't. Because pretending felt safer than explaining. Safer than risking the possibility that someone might see the real me and walk away. But sometimes, late at night or early in the morning, I'd wonder, what if I let my guard down? What if I whispered, I need help? Would it change anything? Would someone listen? Would someone stay? I didn't know, but eventually the silent struggles grew too loud to ignore. I couldn't keep carrying them alone. I wasn't sure what scared me more. Finally speaking up or staying silent forever. Because once you admit you're struggling, you can't take it back. People know. And the fear that they'll see you as weak, that they'll treat you differently, it's overwhelming. So for years I carried the weight alone. I told myself it would pass. That if I just kept pushing forward, smiling, pretending, it would get better. But it didn't. It got heavier. It stayed with me, grew inside me, until one ordinary night it all cracked open. I was joking with friends, being the easygoing one, the one who always had a smile. But something inside me felt off, like a fracture, deep in my gut. Maybe it was the exhaustion of always acting. Maybe it was the loneliness that hit even in the middle of a crowd. But suddenly, I felt like I couldn't breathe. The walls were closing in. The voices around me became noise, and I had to get out. I walked away. I didn't expect anyone to follow me. But someone did. They didn't ask much. Just a simple, soft question. One I'd heard 1,000 times before. But this time it felt different. Are you okay? And I almost lied. Almost said what I always said. Yeah, I'm fine. But I couldn't. Not this time. Because I wasn't fine, and I was tired of pretending. So for the first time I told the truth. No, I'm not okay. And just saying that, it broke something inside me. But it didn't destroy me. It didn't make things worse. It made me feel lighter. Because finally, I wasn't carrying it alone. That night was the first time I let someone see the real me. And they didn't run. They didn't look at me like I was weak. They listened. And in that moment, I realized something I wish I'd known all along. I was never meant to carry it, all alone. My silent struggles had tricked me into thinking I was on my own, that no one would care, that no one would understand. But I was wrong. People cared more than I gave them credit for. And opening up, it didn't make me weak. It made me human. It made me free. For so long I thought that struggling in silence was the brave thing to do, that if I just held everything in I wouldn't be a burden, that if I ignored the pain it would disappear. But it never did. It stayed. It grew. It became a part of me. Until the night I said out loud, "I'm not okay." And everything changed. It wasn't easy after that. Even after realizing I wasn't alone, that I was allowed to be vulnerable, there were still voices in my head telling me I shouldn't have spoken, that now people would see me differently, that I'd lost something by being honest. But they were wrong. No one left. No one treated me like I was broken. Instead, something unexpected happened. Others started opening up too. They shared their own stories, their own silent struggles, the pain they'd hidden behind their smiles, the moments they'd felt alone even in a room full of people, and I realized I wasn't the only one. We were all carrying something, and all it took was one person being honest to start a conversation, to create connection, to begin healing. I used to think healing meant fixing everything, that I had to be okay before I could be loved, before I could belong, before I could be happy. But I've learned that healing isn't about perfection. It's about honesty. It's about allowing yourself to be seen, even when you feel messy and broken. It's about understanding that you don't have to have it all figured out to be worthy of care. Your struggles don't define you, but how you face them, that matters. And the bravest thing I ever did was to stop pretending, to stop saying I'm fine when I wasn't, to finally tell the truth. I'm struggling. I'm scared. I need help. Not for attention, not for pity, but because no one should have to carry that kind of weight alone. I won't lie. Some days are still hard. There are mornings when the weight feels just as heavy as before, when I wonder if I've said too much, when I think about going back to pretending, but I don't. Because now I know I'm not alone. I know there are people who care. And even on the days I fall apart, I know I won't stay down. Because I've learned I deserve better. I deserve to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, exactly as I am. I thought my struggles made me less, made me weaker, made me someone others couldn't count on, but I see it differently now. My struggles are proof of how hard I've been fighting, proof that I've kept going, even when it was hard, proof that I have strength I didn't even know I had. The truth is, I was never weak. I was just silent. I was just waiting to be heard. And now that I've found my voice, I'm not going back. I won't carry it all alone again. I won't let the fear of being seen stop me from living, from connecting, from healing. I don't know what tomorrow will bring. There will still be hard days, still be moments when doubt creeps in. But I'm no longer pretending. I'm no longer hiding. I'm learning to live, fully, honestly, openly. And that makes all the difference. Because now, for the first time, I believe I am worthy. Worthy of love, of support, of peace, of joy. Even in my struggle, even in my imperfection, even when I'm still finding my way. I don't have to be perfect to be enough. I just have to be real. And I am. And so are you. Sometimes pain doesn't scream. Sometimes it sits, quietly behind the eyes, hiding in the corners of everyday moments. Sometimes it lingers in the way I pause before answering, in the silence between my words, in the fake smile I wear so convincingly that even I begin to believe it. For the longest time, I thought that was strength. I thought being strong meant being silent, that no one needed to know, that I had to handle everything alone. I would wake up every morning with a weight on my chest. It wasn't always crushing. Some days it was just a quiet ache, something I could push to the side as I moved through the motions of my day. But other days, it felt like I was suffocating, like I was locked in a room with no way out, surrounded only by the echo of my thoughts. Thoughts that spun in circles, whispered doubts, fears, shame, all the things I never spoke out loud. And I got good at pretending. I became an expert at acting okay, laughing at the right times, nodding when people talked, saying, "I'm fine," even when I was anything but. Because I was afraid. Afraid that if people really saw me, if they noticed the cracks, they'd see me differently. They'd think I was weak, broken, not enough. And so, I kept everything in. I held the pain, the fear, the sadness, all of it inside where no one could see. But the truth is, it wasn't strength. It was fear. I wasn't strong for staying silent. I was scared. Scared of what it would mean to be truly seen. Because being seen meant being vulnerable. It meant risking judgment, rejection, pity. And, maybe worst of all, it meant admitting to myself that I was struggling, that I wasn't okay. I used to think that asking for help made you weak, that if I couldn't handle life on my own, then I had failed somehow, that people would leave if they knew the truth. So I smiled through the pain. I told myself it would pass, that I just needed to push through a little longer. But it didn't pass. It just got heavier. Then one day, something shifted. It wasn't dramatic. I didn't collapse or cry out. I was just sitting with some friends, joking like I always did, being the laid-back one, the funny one, the one who seemed so put together. But inside I felt like I was cracking.